Talking to the newsmakers every day. The conversation continues with Evan Solomon.
The story of the Untouchable one was a horse born on Cheryl Geldart's farm back in 2010. On the racetrack, the Untouchable one, I love those names of horses, made more than $250,000 in winning. Great horse. Well, what do you do to great horses? Well, the owner and breeder of Untouchable one found out that this beautiful animal was scheduled to be killed. And then she jumped into action. Cheryl Geldart joins me now. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Evan. Thanks for having me.
Can you just describe Untouchable one so people get a sense of how beautiful this horse is?
Well, I guess if I had to say it in real short words, it would be how friendly and how he loves people. He can't get enough attention, and he's just so kind.
Hey, this is a big, beautiful, what color?
He's basically black. I think they call him brown, but he's really quite black.
And just a sweetheart?
He is, yeah.
Like a lot of people listening might not know about, including me, by the way, what it takes to raise and breed a horse. It's a real relationship, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. He was born here. I'm always there when they come out of their mom, just in case there's any problems, and handle them right away and make sure they get up to have their first drink. And usually it's 4 a.m. when they come.
Yeah, it's like any baby. And breeding a horse to be as successful as Untouchable one, to make over $250,000. What does that take?
Well, you need to know. It takes a lot of luck, really, sometimes. But I think when I got his mother, I was pretty lucky in that, and she had some good babies. She hasn't had a horse that hasn't made the races, let's put it that way. So breeding is important, and they need to have the desire to win as well, like he always did. He didn't want a horse to pass him, that's for sure.
And so where did he race? Well, and what was he racing?
Well, he was born here in New Brunswick, and he raced in the Maritimes for his 2- and 3-year-old years. I sold him to friends of mine, the Dooley boys. And so he raced, he won the Breeders' Crown at 2 years old and at 3-year-olds here in the Maritimes. And then at the end of his 3-year-old career, there's really not a lot left for them here in the Maritimes for racing. So he was sold to a trainer down in the United States. So he continued to race there until 2017, so he would have been 7.
And then what normally happens to a horse like that, Cheryl?
Well, it depends on how good they are, right? But I mean, any price horse can end up in the situation he was in. So he went on to race. He changed hands numerous times. I always try to keep an eye where he might end up. I watched when he was taken out of his last race. He was scratched, meaning he didn't race. So I thought, well, is he injured or what? So I just kept looking for him to reappear. And I don't know, 4 years later that I found him. So
now again, Cheryl, in the article I read, this is the sentence that I don't think people realize what happens here. Untouchable one was discovered in a kill pen in Shippensburg, Pennsylvania, end quote. What is a kill pen?
Well, that's what like the rescues is calling it that. I don't really know if that's exactly what the auction people call it, but so they don't have slaughter in the United States. So they have these animals that are the meat dealers, they call them, have them. They are sent to auction by their previous owners, and the meat dealers will sell them, and they will be shipped from the kill pen. They would be sold and shipped to either Mexico or Canada, where they can then be slaughtered and or even sent overseas for slaughter as well.
I've been reading about this term kill pen. It's pretty rough. Like they take old racehorses and apparently they put them in these mass conditions. They're pretty unhealthy. They transport them. I don't even know if
they have water. Yeah, I know.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
And how many horses end up in the, would you say most horses that you might watch racing, once they're done and if they're not bred, they're going to end up being slaughtered?
There's a lot for sure, but it isn't just racehorses either, because they're so, different backyard breeders. And once you sell a horse that's not registered. Like, I would never have found Untouchable one, of course, if he wasn't registered, and I was the original owner, so they could reach out to me. But think of somebody having a horse in their backyard without any way of tracking them. They end up there just as well. Standardbreds are a favorite of the Amish, and I don't want to, put a bad light on the Amish, but that's sort of, once their race career is over, they move along to be cart horses there quite often. And then when they're no longer able to do the job and the work that's needed, they end up in these kill pens.
So you found Untouchable one in a kill pen in Pennsylvania. Then what happened?
Well, there's rescue groups that work really hard, so I have to give them a big thank you for what they do. Is they go to the auctions when the horses arrive, and they get all the tattoos off of the race horses and try to reach out to previous contacts and post them on social media. And so I had at least 5 or 6 people sending me these pictures and messaging me to where he was, and then I just immediately, within minutes of receiving those, I was getting on social media myself, reaching out for help, and it cost a lot of money to get him home, and I certainly couldn't do it by myself. And
so how much did you have to buy Untouchable? So you had to rescue Untouchable one from a kill pen. How soon could he have been killed?
Well, we had maybe 3 or 4 days before we could, that we had to raise his bail money, which was about $900 US, and then after that you have to get him into quarantine, and in total to get him home to my farm was about $3,000 Canadian.
$3,000, and if you had about 4 or 5 days where it was done, you'd never see Untouchable again. What was it like when? Well, first of all, that's incredible. What was it? It must be. I mean, what a lottery ticket for Untouchable one, because all the other horses beside him never got out. What was it like to see Untouchable one again when you rescued him from the kill pen?
When he came here?
Yeah.
Like when he arrived home, it was pretty emotional for sure. And I had a friend here that would video some of it and took pictures. And his mother was in a stall at the front of the barn, Untouchable one's mother. And so I walked him in through, and they were face to face and nose to nose, and she knew him 100%. And she's been at his side ever since. And
now what will happen to Untouchable one?
Well, we had a nice Adoption Awareness Day on Saturday at our racetrack here in St. John, and he made a lot of friends, and some of his fans from back in the day came to see him as well. So we're trying to raise awareness, so he'll probably be the mascot maybe for here when we do this again, and showing people that they can have second careers. They're mounted police horses, they compete in dressage, endurance, jumping. There's really nothing they can't do, and their personality to boot just adds even more to how valuable they are. So,
yeah, it's a real issue.
We're hoping he can show people. Yeah,
Cheryl, you raised awareness about something. I don't think most people ever think about it, but give Untouchable one a pet for all of us, and Cheryl, thanks for that. Really, really great that you stay in touch with your animal and followed your friend there and rescued Untouchable one. Thank you, Cheryl. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Evan, for your time. Thank you for having us.
Oh, no, my pleasure. Anyone that loves animals like that. That's Cheryl Geldart. Hi, I don't know about you, but I learned a lot there. Stick with the iHeartRadio.